Hey guys, I just really quickly wanted to talk about ampicillin plates and satellite colonies. So ampicillin is a very commonly used antibiotic. It's a very convenient antibiotic to use because you don't need to do any sort of a recovery. You can just transform your cells, and you can see here we have a plate that is good to go, and it's cheap, but it has a few disadvantages. One of the big disadvantages is satellite colonies, and that's what I want to talk about here. So I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit more here, and you can see that we have here, let me get something to point with. We have a few colonies there, and we have this central colony at the corner right there that I'm trying to point at. And then it has kind of this haze around it, like a lawn around it. And it's been a little while. This is a really old plate, so they've kind of all smushed together, but those are what we call satellite colonies, and those are bad. So if you were to pick here, you'd want to be very, very careful. You want only to get that center little thing right in there, and everything else around it is just no good. So what's happening here is ampicillin targets the peptidoglycan cell wall layer of bacteria, and it does so by digesting some bond that's really important, but will only kill it when the cell is growing. So if the cell is not growing, it won't die. If the cell is growing, it'll die. So what ends up happening is you have some cells that gain ampicillin resistance, which is called beta-lactamase gene, and then they start pumping that out, and they start degrading the ampicillin. So it's not an internal mechanism, but it's an external mechanism, and they're actually decreasing the ampicillin where they live, and that actually creates a little halo of no ampicillin, or like a little what would I call it? A low ampicillin area around them, and in that low ampicillin region, you have maybe a few slow-growing cells that grew too slow to get killed off by the ampicillin, but now the ampicillin concentration has been reduced by the central colony, and these slow-growing cells can then grow up and create these little satellite microcolonies, and they're a big reason for contamination, and you want to avoid them at all costs. So don't pick satellite colonies if you can help it, and you always, part of the reason for getting these satellite colonies is because your ampicillin concentration has gone downhill. So ampicillin is both heat sensitive and light sensitive. So if you're pouring your own plates, you need to make sure that your LB is very, very cool before you're pouring it. Otherwise, you're going to take like a 50% hit in how much ampicillin you have there. Also, if you leave your plates out at room temperature for too long, then it's going to start to degrade. Also, if you leave your plates out on your bench, the lights from your lab, or if you have windows, we do not. If you have windows, then the sun might come and degrade it, but definitely the lights in your lab will degrade it. So you need to be very careful when you pour ampicillin plates and when you're plating anything and you're using ampicillin for your selections. If you have any questions about satellite colonies, let me know, but for now, try to avoid them. If you don't want satellite colonies, there's some other really good antibiotics out there like chloramphenicol, kanamycin. We occasionally get spec satellite colonies, but I don't know what's going on with that. I think that's just a contamination issue. Probably shouldn't be broadcasting that, but oh well. So hopefully you don't have the satellite colony problem, but if you do, try to pour cooler plates and don't leave them out in the light, and that should solve a lot of the problems. Let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for watching.